would like to welcome you all to Holocaust Remembrance Around the World, another episode of HRO or Holocaust Remembrance Around the World, a new series featuring guests from all over the world, the people whose work shapes and reshapes Holocaust memory and education, placing the past in a current, relevant, and local context. I'm Shai Pilnik. I'm the director of the Emil and Jenny Fish Holocaust and Genocide Studies Center at Yeshiva University. Thank you for being with us. I wanted, before we move to a fascinating conversation with our fascinating guests, to suggest and to encourage you all to go to our website, www.yu/fish-center, to learn about the Fish Center and its activities, and most importantly, its newly launched master's degree program in Holocaust and Genocide Studies. We're currently accepting applicants. You can go on our portal, and we have an incredible program, world-class faculty, and also generous scholarships. And now, let's travel to Mexico with Aaron and Esther Cohen, a husband and wife, a team that makes movies particularly about the Holocaust. They've just launched a new film called Whispers of Silence, about the children of survivors that came to Mexico after the war. Let's first of all, welcome, actually. Good afternoon, Aaron. Good afternoon, Esther. It's my pleasure. We spoke on a number of occasions. I wanted to also thank Yael Siman, Dr. Yael Siman from Mexico City, who introduced me to the two of you. It's my pleasure and honor. This is going to be one of the most successful, I think, episodes in our program. Let's begin by watching a trailer from the film Whispers of Silence.
La forma de transmitirlo de mi padre fue su silencio y una gran foto que había en su cuarto con todos los hermanos ahí que fueron asesinados.
No fue una liberación. Deberíamos de hablar de las liberaciones. Algo nuevo, algo distinto comenzaba, pero no necesariamente un momento feliz. Hubo gente que se dio cuenta por primera vez de su situación, de la pérdida de la familia, de la pérdida del hogar, ¿no? De la pérdida de la propiedad, ¿no? Del despojo absoluto.
Y luego empezó un exilio muy doloroso.
¿Por qué llegan a México? Porque principalmente aquí tenían familia.
Probablemente la maleta venía vacía, pero llena de ilusiones.
Viene a México, vive en un país tropical, exótico.
Yo creo que para mi papá la guerra terminó cuando se casó, cuando llegó a México.
La guerra terminó para los que mataron. Los que sobrevivieron siguieron con su guerra toda la vida.
El tener un hijo dentro del judaísmo es como no aceptar toda una derrota total.
En mi casa había como más tristeza, más enojo.
No publico que soy judía, me daba miedo decir que soy judía.
No existas, no sobresalgas por el peligro, porque un día de estos te van a recoger.
Era un tabú prácticamente hablar de la Shoah.
Siempre entendimos que nos protegía.
Querían que tuviéramos una vida normal y no acordarse de la tragedia que ellos vivieron.
Pues escogió la vida y siguió adelante.
Siempre agradezcan lo que tienen y hacia adelante.
Perdonar sí, pero olvidar nunca.
Trabajemos por un mejor futuro.
El hecho de pensar en el Holocausto es para cuidar a toda la humanidad.
Lo que soy es lo que ellos vivieron.
Yo pienso que esto era como una conspiración del silencio, ¿no?
Wow. So, Aaron and Esther, this is not the first film that I've seen dealing with the unique experiences of children of survivors, but it seems that this is the first one that is trying to come up with the definitive the most comprehensive study of the subject. You have expert opinions, you have experts who join you for the movie and reflect on they reflect on from a psychological, psychiatric sometimes point of view. They reflect on the experiences, and you have about 90 testimonies we saw before of Mexican Holocaust survivors. I actually want to begin first with the title of the film. It's a very powerful title, an oxymoronic title. There is a self-contradiction between whisper and silence. Even though we whisper quietly, silence is silence, you know. So let's actually start with how you make sense of the title.
Yeah, it's not the first time that somebody said that it's oxymorical title. Always our latest film, Heaven in Auschwitz, it's oxymorical because it cannot be heaven in Auschwitz,
correct.
Heaven in hell. So we chose this name because of the theory of conspiracy of silence. We work on what Dr. Yael Danieli told us about what was the silence. When the war ends, the survivors, of course, they want to talk about their experience, but we, society, we didn't want to hear them. We didn't want to listen to them. So, as Dr. Yael Danieli said, the Holocaust was the first wound. The second wound was us, the society, that we didn't want to listen to them. So that's the reason we put the name Whispers of Silence.
Yes. Wonderful. Something curious about the film. So if you never met children of Holocaust survivors from Mexico, you get to meet a lot of them during the film. I suppose most of them live in Mexico City?
Yes.
You say so?
Yes, yes, they live in Mexico City, and they are almost of them. They are part of the community, of the Jewish community in Mexico. They are most of them are friends of us from long time ago, but we didn't talk about the theme with them in any time before. When we decided to make this film, we elaborated a questionnaire because one of our friends is children of the Holocaust, and she's a psychologist too, and she helped us to make the questions for the questionnaire.
I see. Now, there's something interesting about this big group of people that some of them are somehow connected to you, that they are all children of survivors. And of course, we can see in the film, they have varying degrees of connection to Judaism and different experiences. I suppose that some of them come from Poland, some come from Germany. But you don't really, from a sociological and also personal point of view, you don't belong to that group. Well, that's the first thing that fascinated me. The two of you are not children of survivors. So I want to go back. This is actually your second film about the Holocaust, second oxymoronic film. You also made Heaven in Auschwitz, which is a fascinating film about Freddie Hirsch. And then maybe, you know what, maybe we'll get a chance to say a few words about Freddie Hirsch and Theresienstadt later. But I'm curious, your journey, tell me a little bit about yourself and why you became attracted to the subject.
Yeah, when I was a young boy, I went in the high school for the first time to a Jewish school. And then in Yom HaShoah, they put some videos about the Holocaust, and I was very horrorized about that. It was my first time that I saw that. It was terrible. Corpses in the earth moving with the tractors. For me, it was shocking. And then I love the story of the Second World War. So when I returned from school, I read the chronology of the Second World War. And later in the university, I saw a film what was the name of the film?
Noche
Of
y
Alain
Nieve.
Resnais, Night and Fog. And that was what connected me again to the theme. And I started to research, and I started to work, and I participate in 5 March of the Living, making the documentary of the trip. And that's the reason I connect with this theme. I am Sephardic, I'm not Ashkenazi. My family came from Aleppo, from Syria. And Esther and I are very, very interested. Can you tell?
Yes. In my case, I was studying in a Jewish school since I was a little girl. My family came from Cuba with the exilium of Fidel Castro, and then we came to Mexico. My parents wanted to be in the community, and I was in a Sephardic school, in a Jewish Sephardic school, and we had a teacher, a music teacher, that we loved her because we sang with her. The class was very, very nice, but in the Shoah commemoration, the day of the Shoah, she transformed her. She had a number, and she sang Shoah songs, and then she begins to tell us about the Shoah, and was for all of us, was terrifying. And then they showed us those videos of the liberation camps and what happened to the Jewish. And then I was very touched by that things. And then in the university, I studied communication. And then we began to go to the March of the Living. And we were in the camps. And when I was in Auschwitz, in the Auschwitz Museum, I realized how much people were died with the hair, with the bags, with the shoes that we saw there. I was very shocked, and then we went to the extermination camps, to Majdanek, and then in Majdanek is an extermination camp that you can make it work instantly.
You can actually you can actually walk into the gas chamber in Majdanek. That's right.
Yes. And it's our people, it's our people that live that horror, and I feel part of the Jewish people.
Okay, I want to take us into your film now. The children of survivors speak about their experiences, and they characterize throughout the film what it means to be a child of a survivor. It sounds like the home of a child of a survivor family, is so different from another home. One of the characters, one of the interviewees, I call them characters in your film, is a gentleman named Benny Kellerstein. You remember Benny?
Yes.
I will quote that. It says that the house he grew up in smelled like Shoah. What does that mean?
Yeah, one of the chapters of the film is smells like Shoah, because Benny said in his house, his father was very, very affected by the Holocaust. He never recovered completely about the Holocaust. He was very sick, he was very paranoid. And he said when he lived in her home, it smelled like Shoah. It was different to other homes. It was different to other families.
Let's watch a clip from the film and see Benny Kellerstein speaking about his experiences.
La diferencia más grande que hubo, que la noté, fue mi casa contra la casa de Hane, de mi esposa. Y me dice, vente a cenar a mi casa un Shabbat. Digo, ¿hacen Shabbat? ¿Tú no? No. Me senté en la mesa, no olía a Shoah, olía a comida, olía sabroso, o sea, otro ambiente. Todo el mundo discutía, pero bien. Y lo más importante que había en esa casa, existía una bobe. No había bobe, aquí había una bobe. ¡Wow! ¡Wow sobre wow!
even for a non-Spanish speaker like me, I think I understand the word wow. So here is one character trait of growing up in a family of survivors, and I can also relate. My parents were children of survivors. The almost complete absence of another generation of grandparents. Another feature, and I thought that you really checked all the boxes. You talked about attraction versus rejection of Judaism. You talked about difficult relationships with the parents' fear for the safety of their children, feelings of guilt. If we just pause on guilt for a moment, one of your interviewees, her name is Vicky. Do you remember her last name?
Yes, Vicky Fine-Silver.
Vicky Fine-Silver.
Fine-Silver. She's a woman that she was very close to her father, and she said that her father all the time asked her for sorry, sorry. Yes, and he while we were interviewing her, she realized that the feel of the ask for sorry to her was because she remembered, or she was for him her mother, because he put the mother's name to her daughter, to his daughter, excuse me.
I'm sorry, his mother was Vicky, in other words.
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting in this interview is in that moment, in that very special moment, she realized why he was asking him apologies, her apologies.
Yeah,
apologies.
Let's watch the clip from the film.
Lo que yo no entendí nunca, Esther, es por qué él me pedía perdón a mí. En los últimos momentos de su vida, me abrazaba mucho y me pedía perdón. Yo le contestaba, ¿de qué, papito? ¿De qué? Le decía, ¿de qué me estás pidiendo perdón? Y ahí, ahorita, en este segundo, me está cayendo el 20. El nombre. Llevaba el nombre de su mamá. Probablemente le representé su mamá y se sentía culpable. Él huye, él no tuvo tiempo de pedir perdón, de decir ya me voy, de que les vaya bien, nada.
This is so powerful.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you about the dancers, and about the music that you chose for the film, which I found very powerful. And maybe in the meantime, our coordinator Hodaya can show us the photography of the two dancers who join us in the film, normally in transitions from one story to another.
Yeah. First of all, about the music. The music was composed by a very good friend of us, Fernando Alanis, who is a great musician, and he also worked with us in the edition of the documentary. Fernando Alanis also worked with us in Heaven in Auschwitz, so we made a very good team with him, and we worked together, and the music is so powerful. The music of the choreographies and also the music that accompany the film, I think is great.
Yes.
And you want to talk about the dancers?
Yes, the dancers, we worked with a choreographer and a dancer. The choreographer is Cuban. He doesn't want to live in Cuba because he feels very bad there, and he was in Mexico in a company, in a dance company, and then
Tania Perez Salas.
Tania Perez Salas company, and we talked with them. He's the choreographer, and we talked him about the feelings that we wanted to express in the film. We wanted to express
death, sadness,
rejection,
a lot
of feelings that we gave to him to choose. And he made the choreographies. He's a very, very talented choreographer. And the dancer, Ana Estrada, who danced with him, they are very powerful dancers. I think they express a lot of things with the dance. And if you see the pictures, we have
some text.
Those texts are from the child, from the interview.
They are from the interviews themselves.
Yes. My dad screamed every night of his life. One of them told about this text. It is something that marked me since I was a child. Another one told this text, and we try to mix with the photographies.
And I think it's very powerful, the dance and the choreographies in the movie, in the documentary, because they accompany the themes that we are talking about. They are very, very powerful.
I felt as a viewer that they added a lot. And they really set the tone for the film. And you could really connect because the subject is so emotional and not really a subject that you can understand by using your brain. You also need to use your heart.
Yes.
Then the choreography, in a way, massages your heart and makes you connect to their pain, to their suffering so strongly. I wanted to ask you if there's something Mexican about the film. The experiences of children of Holocaust survivors are so similar. If you talk about having no grandparents, feelings of guilt, we went over that before. Could you maybe tell us a little bit about Holocaust survivors and later their children arriving in Mexico? What's unique about their story?
It is unique because the film is divided in two parts. Let's say the first part is when the war ends and the liberation of the camps. And that first part is a research and how these people that lose everything, they lose their country, they lose their families, they lose their dignity, their humanity, they lose everything. And now they have to move on. They're trying to go to Palestine, and it was very difficult to get there. And by some lucky, they found some relatives here in Mexico. And that's the reason why they came to Mexico. Let me tell you, there was a law in Mexico that was, it was a hidden law that was expired in 1934 that prohibited the immigration of the Jews to Mexico. It was a racist law. We read it completely and was completely racist against the Jewish. And only the people that have relatives here can enter to Mexico. So that's one thing. And the other one is the culture in Mexico is very, very different to Europe, completely different. We are indigenous people here, the food, the weather, everything is completely different. So the language also, they have to adapt themselves to this specific country. It was very different to other countries.
And the survivors that came to Mexico, they had works in Europe very different from here. For example, one of the interviewed said that her father was a letter worker. He worked on letters for the cold countries
Europe, yes.
in Europe. And when they came to Mexico, her father said, what I'm going to do here? There is sun, there is light, there is hot, and what I'm going to do here with my work. And this very different, the culture, the situation when you come to America, for example.
So they arrived here They can meet their parents, their relative. They didn't know them. They also know them, that they were relatives, they were cousins, they were maybe brothers of their parents. And that's the first part of the film. The second part of the film is when they get married and they get sons and daughters, and then how they transmitted the trauma to them. One of the main thing was with silence. And the sons and the children perceive them very, very well, that silence. Many of them, they talk with their parents about the Holocaust when they were 25 or 30 years old.
Do you think maybe more than in America or Israel? Probably more in Mexico. You think the silence in Mexico lasted longer than in other countries?
No, we don't think so.
I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
I think the survivors that came to Mexico, when they had parents, they had people here that were healthy. The community was, ¿cómo se dice?
Very
united. They had prosperity, they had money, and then when they received their relatives from Europe, from the Holocaust, they helped them, and then they told them. One of the interviewers said that, please, if you lived that in the Holocaust, please don't talk about this anymore. You can marry, you can have children, and don't talk about it anymore.
Because they are going to tell you that you're crazy.
You're crazy.
And I see that some of them, some of them, embrace Judaism. You have interviewees who conclude the interview with Am Yisrael Chai, but some of them don't. Let's take a look at a gentleman named Francisco Martin Moeno, who talks about the most, I would say, remote connection to Judaism one can think of.
El hermano de mi madre me invitó a comer y él me contó toda la historia. Yo no sabía, no tenía idea de nada. Y él me contó cómo se casaron mis abuelos en la sinagoga, cómo él era judío, aunque ahora era judío renegado, pero era judío, mi madre judía, todos judíos.
So the fact that they experience anti-Semitism in Mexico and in Germany makes some of them come to the conclusion that for the sake of their safety, they would rather keep the whole thing quiet about being Jewish.
Let me tell you about Francisco Martín Moreno. He's a famous Mexican writer, very, very famous. He has wrote a lot of books about the story of Mexico, but he realized that he was Jew when he was 65 years old. He
was Jewish.
His uncle was diagnosed with cancer when he was 65, and he said to him, "We need to talk about your origins. You are a Jew." And Francisco Martín Moreno said, "I'm Jew." "Yes, your mother is Jew, and you are Jew. Your father is not Jew, but you are Jew because your mother is Jew." And he was shocked. And he wrote a book about that experience. And he wrote a story of his family in a book called Half an Hour Before Death. And when you hear him talk, you can see how he's traumatized by this experience. He said, "When I investigate this thing, my arm gets sleep, I can talk, my mouth was dry. And when you hear him talking, you can hear the same feelings that he's talking about."
Yep, that's one of the most powerful scenes in the movie. I want to pause for a moment and invite our guests. We have a sizable group here, and I would like to invite them in the chat to send their questions to you. I will be the one actually to moderate the Q&A and to address them to you, but I would like to encourage our guests, if they have any questions. I'm trying to cover your movie and your work from all angles. Let's talk about the personal angle now. What does it feel like to be a husband and wife who have this filmmaking partnership? How does that feel?
Oh,
okay, we've been working for more than 35 years together. We work with the Jewish Mexican community a lot, making documentaries, making multimedias. We work a lot with that. And we've been working 35 years together, and many people ask, how can you work with your wife?
How can you work together? Don't you fight?
Yeah.
Don't you fight every time?
It's not necessarily productive for every marriage, one would say.
Yes, yes, but we are very, very used to this partnership, and we work together, I think, very well.
It's a very ¿cómo se dice diverso? Diverse work. For example, I write the screens. He makes the camera, and we divide all the work between the two of us and with our people. We have our team, and we work together with a team of people too.
Wonderful. Here's one question from the audience, and I would like to encourage our guests to ask whatever they'd like. Here's a question: will this film be touring the US? Tell us a little bit about. And I know that the film has already been shown in Mexico City, so I'm also curious about the reception of the film. So the reception, the tour.
Okay. First of all, we have a pandemic right now. So it was very difficult to reunite the people to see the documentary. We don't want to show by Zoom because it's a lot of work, and if you show it by Zoom, we think it deserves to be at the movie, at the cinema. So what we think is where we can reunite people to see the film. So we choose an auto cinema where you go in your car and you see the documentary.
Like a drive-in cinema.
In a drive-in, yes.
Drive-in cinema.
And it was completely successful because we have 3 screenings there with a full
audience.
Complete, it was full. And the reactions was very, very, very incredible. We have, after the screening, the other day we have a Zoom with the people who wants to
talk about
the film. And what we were very, very surprised, many of the children of the Holocaust got in that Zoom. And the first answer of one of them was, I was not crazy. Oh, look, I was with my daughter and my husband, and I told them, I was not crazy. Look, many people happens the same at me. I feel that I was unique, but I was not unique. Many people felt exactly the same as me.
Yes, they said, I'm not alone. I have brothers and sisters of the Holocaust with me, and I feel like them. They were very, ¿cómo se dice? Agradecidos, grateful with us because of the interview and because of the film, because they felt very empathic.
Wonderful. Here's another question. I had the honor of working with Aaron Gilbert, who wrote El Último Sobreviviente about the experience of his father. I saw that he was in the trailer. Did he support your efforts?
Yes, he's in the trailer. We interview his brother, Morris, her sister, and him to see the different point of views that everybody has in the family. Because it is surprising that many brother and sister were transmitted the Holocaust very, very different. Some of them, they didn't notice nothing.
Despite growing up in the same house.
That was the heritage, the Holocaust. The father chose them, so they were the heritage of the Holocaust by only one son or one daughter.
Okay, we are heading towards the end of our show. I wanted to ask you maybe briefly, this is not your first Holocaust film, to describe the story of Freddie Hirsch and Heaven in Auschwitz, and also talk to you about your future plans. Is this your last film about the Holocaust? I'm curious.
No. With this film, with Whispers of Silence, we want to make a bigger thing. We want to put in a platform the documentary, and we want to put all the interviews, the 90 interviews and the 10 specialist interviews in a platform. And then you see the documentary, and then if you want to know the history of one of them, of Belly Kellerstein or Vicky Feinsilver, or some of them, you can choose his history or her history, and you can hear all the interview. That's the next
project
step we have.
And we want to talk a little bit about
Heaven in Auschwitz.
It's an amazing story about Freddie Hirsch. Freddie Hirsch was almost an unknown people, and who was a completely hero. He did incredible things in incredible times during the Holocaust. And many people didn't know this man, this incredible man, and mainly because he was gay. And that's the reason that for many years, the people didn't talk about Freddie Hirsch. But Freddie Hirsch is an amazing people who fought all his life for their children and against the Nazism.
Okay, thank you. I think that there's so much interest in this film, and I just know that this is not your only Holocaust film. We have a guest from Phoenix. I screened for Phoenix Jewish Film Festival. Please give website, the details about your website for the film, as it will be available in the future. And also a question from the audience about how they can view the film. I was lucky to view it, but what about our guests? Where and how can they access it?
Okay, our plans now is to take this film to Jewish film festivals, and we are making screenings here in Mexico. On Tuesday, we have in the Sephardic community a screening for 150 people, and we are also screening the film in the Cineteca Nacional, which is a very, very important place to show films for non-Jewish people. And then we are going to take this film to Jewish film festivals. We are working on that for 1 year. And later on, we are going to maybe put it on Zoom and maybe put it on demand, on trying to put it on Netflix or Amazon in another platforms.
We would love to show it to our students and our community members at some point at the Fish Center at Yeshiva University. What were some of the challenges last question, what were some of the challenges that you experienced throughout the film? Which experiences stood out the most to you? That's a question too good to forgo. So when you're making the film, what's the most challenging thing?
The most challenging thing was meeting the interviews. The interviews was very, very hard. Esther can talk about, because she did the interviews.
Yes, well, the interviews was very, very hard, very, very interesting, because when we ask our friends or people we knew that if they can give us the interview, they say, okay, come to my house. We went, Aaron and I only, we didn't take any more people, staff, nothing. We went, Aaron was the camera and I was the interviewer, and we sat with the interviewer. I sat in front of him, and I began to ask questions. ¿Cómo se dice? The questionnaire was very direct to show the feeling about the Holocaust, about what happened with them, with their parents. And the first 10 or 15 minutes, they began to talk, but was very distant. And then they began to open their hearts, they opened their feelings. And at the end of the interviews, we were very moved with all of them. And we want to agradecer, ¿cómo se dice? To thank of all the interviewers, because they opened their heart and their soul to us.
And the most shocking was they said, "Thank you for the interview. I feel relief." It was therapeutic, completely therapeutic. One of the interviewees, it was very hard. It was our friend for about 30 years. And at the end, Esther asked him, "How do you feel?" He said, I'm all right. And at the third date, he called me and he said, "It was very therapeutic for me. I have to go to my therapist and talk about this because it moves me so much. And I understand many things that happened to me with this interview."
And the wife, and the mother of another interviewer, that is a wife of a survivor, said, I think it was very relaxing me to see the film, because I noticed that my husband was not the unique person not to talk, not to touch about the theme. And she said, "Thank you very much for the documentary."
They thanked you for interviewing them, and now it's time to thank you for allowing us to interview you. As we discussed, when you interviewed the children of the survivors, you did not give them the questions beforehand. And I also insisted that this interview will be, even though you did get the questions, but the interview will be as spontaneous as possible. And I felt that we learned so much about the film. We should also thank you for creating the definitive cinematographic piece, in my opinion, on the experiences of second generation. And that's one of the things about Holocaust remembrance around the world, that once you start to look at the Holocaust and its memory globally, you find so many interesting people like Aaron and Esther Cohen. I did not imagine that the most incredible piece about film, about the second generations or the 2G, will actually be in Spanish, and will be a series of interviews with 90 children of Holocaust survivors from Mexico. So thank you for being with us. We'll get back to you in one moment, but before then, I would like to invite all of you to join us at 12 p.m. on July 25 for an interview with Tali Nates. Tali Nates is the founder and the director of the Holocaust and Genocide Studies Center in Johannesburg in South Africa. So we will be actually shifting to Africa for the next episode of our series. And now I would like to thank the partners, the many partners that join us for Holocaust remembrance around the world, and we encourage more and more to participate in this initiative. Also, thank you to Odaya Blau, our coordinator, and to the producer of the show, to Lois Roman, who is also an incoming master's degree student at the Fish Center of Holocaust and Genocide Studies.
Our primary mission at the Fish Center at Yeshiva University is bestowing a master's degree for students interested in Holocaust and Genocide Studies. We have a short video clip about that now.
If there's truth to the saying that history repeats itself, then Holocaust remembrance and the study of genocide is not only a vital part of history, but also a crucial warning for the future.
Confronting Holocaust deniers and distorters is one of the most important tasks of our generation.
The Fish Center at Yeshiva University was founded with this mission. of preserving the history of the Holocaust as well as more recent genocides. Our master's program offers a unique investigation of the Holocaust of European Jewry, with an interdisciplinary approach through the lenses of law, social work, history, theology, education, literature, and political science. If this sounds like a path you would like to pursue, apply now or learn more. I'd like to extend an invitation for you to join us and become a member of our growing community of scholars and educators.
We look forward to next month when we will be speaking with Dr. Minaza Afridi, who is the head of the Holocaust, Genocide, and Interfaith Education Center at Manhattan College. We also want to thank our helpers today, Alana Murley, who ran all the technology for us, and also our community sponsors, the Holocaust and Human Rights Center in White Plains, New York, the Center for Holocaust Education in the East Valley JCC in Arizona, 3GNY, the Florida Holocaust Museum, the Rabbi Arthur Schneier Program for International Affairs at Yeshiva University, Shadowlight in Canada, Manhattan College, the Sosua 75 in the Dominican Republic, the Holocaust Memorial and Museum in San Antonio, Texas, Johannesburg Holocaust and Genocide Studies Center in South Africa, 2 different programs at the University of Miami, the Holocaust and Education Center in Fukuyama, Japan, the Illinois Holocaust Museum in Skokie, the Sister Rose Thiering Fund in Education for Jewish and Christian Studies, the Lake District Holocaust Project in the UK, Jewish Gen, and the Maltz Museum in Cleveland, Ohio.
Thank you very much for being with us. Aaron and Esther Cohen, one more time. Thank you. The conversation with you and getting to know you and your work was incredible. I wish you Bahatzlacha. For our guests who are observing the fast of Yud Zayin B'Tammuz, I wish you all an easy fast until approximately 9 o'clock in the evening. Aaron and Esther, let's be in touch. And I look forward to showing your film to our students.
Oh,
Okay, thank you very much. And we are very honored that you invite us to this series of talkings.
Yes.
And here's to more great films coming from Cohen and Cohen.
And if someone wants to contact us or to ask questions, they can
write us to a
mail.
TERITA16 at gmail.com.
Let's put it in the chat. So T, you said?
TERI.
T like in Tammy, the letter T.
Yes, TERITA 16 at gmail.com.
Okay, Terita16 at gmail.com. Okay, great. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Thank you.
Everyone.
For you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.